Good morning. Today's Wednesday. Today I woke up. I said I'm going to be happy. I don't care what's going on around me. I'm going to embrace the notion of happiness today. And I would like everyone that's following me on social media to do the same. Forgive that person that hurt you the most. Let that pain go. Take the initiative on your business. If you have to change something like stop smoking or anything of that nature, do it. Today's the day. Don't wait for tomorrow. Do it today. All right? Yay! Happy Wednesday!
On the morning of April 13th, 2022, in North Lauderdale, Florida, a seemingly ordinary day turned into an unimaginable tragedy. Jennifer Bellony, a 32-year-old mother, and her 15-year-old daughter, Anastasia, were on their usual walk to school. What they didn't know was that their lives would be taken in a shocking act of violence, one that would leave their family, friends, and the community devastated. Jennifer Bellony was a dedicated mother who had worked hard to protect her children from harm. She had left her abusive ex-husband, Anglin, years earlier, seeking safety for herself and her children. To further protect herself, Jennifer secured a restraining order against Andre, believing that the legal system would keep him away. However, despite these efforts, Andre found a way to break the law and confront Jennifer and Anastasia that fateful morning. Jennifer had 2 sons and a daughter. Anastasia, or Nana as her family lovingly called her, was a bright, cheerful teenager who loved school and spending time with her friends. Her life, filled with so much promise, was cruelly cut short that morning. On the day of the attack, Jennifer and Anastasia were walking to school as they had done many times before. They didn't expect anything out of the ordinary, but as they were walking, they encountered Andre, who had managed to get close to them despite the restraining order in place. The encounter quickly turned violent, and before anyone could help, Jennifer and Anastasia were attacked in broad daylight. The shock of the attack reverberated through the community. Neighbors heard the commotion and immediately called the police, but by the time help arrived, it was too late. Jennifer and Anastasia had already lost their lives.
The search continues tonight for 34-year-old Andre Anglin, the man police say is responsible for shooting a woman and her teenage daughter outside her North Lauderdale home Wednesday morning. Friends identifying the victims as Jennifer Bellony and her daughter Anastasia.
We are actively searching for someone.
Broward Sheriff's deputies say it happened around 9 a.m. Wednesday on the 7900 block of Tam O'Shanter Boulevard. When deputies got there, they found the 2 victims dead from gunshot wounds.
I seen a body laying on the ground. I didn't want to see that.
The police quickly launched an investigation, but they were left with many questions. How could this happen when Jennifer had done everything right? How could the system that was supposed to protect her and her children have failed so miserably? Jennifer had sought protection through the law. She had gone through the process of securing a restraining order, hoping that it would keep Andre away. But despite this legal protection, Andre managed to get close enough to carry out his violent act. This raised serious questions about the effectiveness of restraining orders and the failure of the legal system to protect victims of domestic violence. After the attack, the police worked tirelessly to locate Andre. A manhunt ensued, but tragically, Andre was found dead, having taken his own life. This left even more unanswered questions. Why did Andre go so far? What led him to kill his ex-wife and daughter? And why did he end his own life afterward? This case raised important questions about the legal system's role in protecting victims of domestic violence. Could Jennifer have been better protected? Should the restraining order have been more enforceable? And what could the authorities have done to prevent this tragedy? The heartbreaking deaths of Jennifer and Anastasia are a reminder of the dangers that victims of domestic violence face every day. Despite all the efforts to seek safety and protection, sometimes it's just not enough. The case also highlights the flaws in the system that are meant to protect people, and it serves as a call to action for changes in how domestic violence victims are supported. If you enjoy real crime stories that uncover the truth, don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps us share real cases, spread awareness, and give a voice to those who can't speak for themselves. Before we begin, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from, and what are your thoughts as the story unfolds? Welcome to True Crime Tales, where we reveal the crimes that shock communities and the secrets hidden behind closed doors. These are real people, real events, real consequences. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Now, let's begin. Jennifer Bellony was a 32-year-old mother who lived in North Lauderdale, Florida, with her 2 sons and her 15-year-old daughter, Anastasia. Jennifer's main goal in life was to give her children a safe and happy home. She worked hard to provide for them, even juggling multiple jobs to make sure they had everything they needed. Jennifer's life had not always been easy. She had been married to Anglin, the father of her children, but the marriage was difficult. Andre was not kind to Jennifer. He often got angry, and sometimes his anger turned into physical and emotional abuse. This made Jennifer very sad and scared, but she found the strength to leave him. She didn't want to live in fear anymore, and she didn't want her children to see their father hurting her. After the divorce, Jennifer took important steps to protect herself and her children. She got a restraining order, which is a legal way to keep someone away from you. This order was meant to stop Andre from coming close to her or hurting her again. But even though the law was on her side, Andre's actions remained unpredictable. He didn't respect the order and would sometimes try to contact Jennifer and the children. This made Jennifer feel worried and unsure about her safety, but she still did her best to stay strong for her kids. Despite the challenges, Jennifer stayed focused on giving her children a better life. She worked hard to make sure they were happy and healthy, even if it meant sacrificing her own comfort. She was a dedicated mother who always put her children first. Anastasia, also called Nana by her family, was a 15-year-old girl with many hopes and dreams for her future. She loved school and had big plans for what she wanted to do when she grew up. Anastasia was a bright student, and she enjoyed spending time with her friends and participating in school events. She had no idea that the day she left for school would be her last day. Anastasia had a very close relationship with her mother, Jennifer. The two of them were always together, supporting one another through the tough times. Jennifer and Anastasia faced many challenges because of Andre's behavior, but they always stuck together. Anastasia learned to be strong because she had seen her mother go through so much. She knew how to protect herself and her brothers, even though their family life was not easy. Despite everything, Anastasia still had a lot of joy in her life. She was young, full of hope, and loved spending time with her friends. She looked forward to the future and was always thinking about what could come next for her. Andre Anglin was 34 years old when the tragedy occurred. He was Jennifer's ex-husband and the father of Anastasia and their 2 sons. Andre's history was filled with trouble. He had a temper and often acted out in anger, which led to the end of his marriage to Jennifer. He was known for his violent behavior and had a criminal record because of his past actions. Even though Jennifer had left him, Andre could not let go of their relationship. He had a hard time accepting the divorce and continued to try to contact Jennifer. Despite the restraining order, Andre still tried to reach his children. His relationship with his sons was tense, and they did not want to be around him much. Anastasia, on the other hand, still cared for her father, but she kept a distance from him because of how he treated her mother. She was afraid of him, just as her mother had been. Andre's anger and inability to move on from the divorce caused constant tension in the Bellony household. Jennifer tried to protect her children from Andre, but it was difficult because he was unpredictable. He would often find ways to make their lives harder, and Jennifer was always on edge, wondering when the next outburst might come. Jennifer, Anastasia, and their family lived under constant fear. Even though Jennifer had done everything she could to protect them, there was always a sense of worry. Andre's unpredictable actions and anger made it hard for Jennifer to feel completely safe. She had done what she could by getting the restraining order, but Andre still found ways to reach out, which made everything even harder for her. Despite all of this, Jennifer stayed strong. She continued to work hard, love her children, and try to make life as normal as possible for them. Anastasia, too, stayed strong, knowing that her mother was her biggest support. The two of them leaned on each other, trying to make it through each day despite the difficult circumstances. Andre, on the other hand, was trapped in his own anger and sadness. His inability to accept the end of his marriage kept him in a state of tension and frustration. He couldn't let go, and his behavior became more erratic and dangerous. His relationship with his children, especially Anastasia, was strained because of his actions. On the morning of April 13th, Jennifer Bellony and her daughter, Anastasia, followed their usual routine. They lived in North Lauderdale, Florida, where Jennifer made sure to keep everything as normal as possible for Anastasia and her 2 sons. It was just like any other day. Jennifer and Anastasia walked down the sidewalk on their way to school. It was a peaceful morning, with the sun shining brightly and everything seemed safe. But that morning, something was terribly wrong. As they approached their house, they unexpectedly came face to face with Andre Anglin, Jennifer's ex-husband and Anastasia's father. Andre had a history of abusive behavior, and despite a restraining order against him, he was still able to find a way to get close. He stood outside, waiting for Jennifer and Anastasia. The restraining order was supposed to keep him away from them, but that didn't stop him from approaching them that day. The moment Andre saw Jennifer and Anastasia, the situation quickly turned violent. The attack happened in a matter of moments. Jennifer and Anastasia, who were just trying to go about their day, suddenly found themselves in an unimaginable situation. It all happened so fast that no one had time to react. Andre's anger had built up over time, and on that day, he chose to act on it. The details of the attack remain unclear, but one thing is certain. The event was tragic. Andre confronted Jennifer and Anastasia in broad daylight, despite the legal protection meant to keep him away. The restraining order that Jennifer had worked hard to secure was not enough to protect him. Andre's actions that day were quick and violent, and they left no room for escape. The impact of this event didn't just affect Jennifer and Anastasia. It shocked their entire community. Many people heard gunshots that morning and saw the attack unfold from a distance, but there was nothing they could do to stop it. The police arrived as soon as they were called, but by then, the damage was done. Jennifer and Anastasia had lost their lives, and their family was left in disbelief. The community, once a safe and quiet place, struggled to understand how something so violent could happen in their neighborhood. How did this happen? Why was Andre able to get so close to Jennifer and Anastasia, even though there was a restraining order in place? These are the questions that lingered in the minds of the people who knew them. The restraining order was supposed to keep Andre away from them, but it clearly didn't work. Was it not enough? Or was there something more that could have been done to protect them? Despite their best efforts to keep Jennifer and Anastasia safe, no one could predict the events that unfolded that morning. The attack left everyone in the neighborhood stunned. People who had known Jennifer for years couldn't understand how someone who had been trying to protect her family could end up in such a violent situation. Neighbors, friends, and family members all struggled with the same question. How could this happen in a place where everyone felt safe? The question that everyone asked was simple. What went wrong? Why wasn't Jennifer and Anastasia's protection enough to stop Andre from carrying out his attack? The fact that Andre was able to approach them in broad daylight despite the restraining order raised concerns about the effectiveness of the legal measures meant to protect victims of domestic violence. As the investigation unfolded, local authorities quickly worked to piece together the details of the attack. They interviewed witnesses, collected evidence, and reviewed the restraining order that Jennifer had fought so hard to put in place. The police were determined to understand how such a tragedy could have occurred, especially when Jennifer had taken every legal step possible to protect herself and her children. But for those who knew Jennifer and Anastasia, no amount of investigation or explanation would bring them back. The loss of these 2 lives left a deep wound in the community, and the questions about what went wrong would never fully be answered. The case became a heartbreaking reminder of the struggles that many people face when trying to escape an abusive relationship and the sometimes inadequate protection offered by the legal system. The morning that Jennifer and Anastasia's lives were cut short will forever be remembered, not only as a tragedy but also as a call for change. What can be done to make sure that other families are protected from such violence? How can we strengthen the systems in place to prevent these kinds of tragedies from happening again? These are the questions that everyone was left to ponder in the wake of such a devastating event. After the tragic event, the police quickly launched an investigation to find out what had happened. They worked hard to understand how a person like Andre Anglin, who had a history of violence, was able to carry out such an attack despite the many warnings and legal orders that should have protected Jennifer and Anastasia. Jennifer had a restraining order against Andre, which was meant to keep him away from her and their children. The police reviewed the restraining order and Jennifer's past with Andre, hoping to find clues about how he was able to get so close to them on that fateful day. The officers talked to neighbors and anyone who might have seen something unusual. They also interviewed people who knew Andre and Jennifer, trying to figure out how he had been able to carry out the attack. The police were confused and concerned. Despite Jennifer's efforts to keep Andre away, it seemed that he was still able to find a way to harm her and her daughter. How could someone with a restraining order still carry out such a violent act? This question troubled many people, and it seemed that the system, which was supposed to protect Jennifer, had failed. After the attack, Andre didn't stick around. He ran away and went into hiding, sparking a manhunt across the area. The police were worried that he would escape justice and never be found. They searched for Andre everywhere, trying to catch him before he could hurt anyone else. But there were many unknowns. Why did Andre do this? Why did he attack his ex-wife and daughter, even after all the legal actions that had been taken against him? Days passed, and the search for Andre continued. Then, a tragic twist occurred. Andre was found dead. It wasn't the police who found him. He had taken his own life. He was discovered in a store, and it was clear that he had ended his own life. This left many people with more questions than answers. Why would Andre do this? What was going through his mind? Was he filled with guilt for what he had done, or was it an act of defiance against the world, as if to say, I will not be caught? No one knew for sure, but it made the situation even more complicated and left many people feeling even more sorrowful and confused. The police now had to look at the bigger picture. Could they have done more to protect Jennifer and Anastasia? The restraining order was in place, but it didn't stop Andre from carrying out the attack. The police wondered if the system could have worked better. Should they have taken more action? Should there have been more checks to make sure Andre stayed away from Jennifer? These were important questions, but they didn't have easy answers. This case also raised serious questions about the legal system. The restraining order that Jennifer had against Andre was meant to protect her and her children, but it didn't seem to work in this situation. It made people wonder, are restraining orders enough? How can we make sure that these legal tools actually keep people safe? If someone is violent and dangerous, how can the law stop them from hurting others? The case also brought attention to the complex issue of domestic violence. Domestic violence is when one person hurts another person they are close to, like a partner or family member. It is a very serious problem that many people face, but it's not always easy to stop. The legal system tries to help by creating laws like restraining orders, but sometimes those laws don't work as they should. The police, the courts, and society all have to work together to find better ways to protect people who are at risk. People who experience domestic violence often feel trapped. They try to get help, but it isn't always enough. Jennifer had tried to protect herself and her children, but the legal system failed her that day. It's clear that we need to do more to help people who are suffering from domestic violence. Better laws, better protection, and more support are needed to keep people safe. In the end, the case of Jennifer Bellony and Anastasia Anglin showed that the legal system, while it can be helpful, is not perfect. The restraining order was supposed to keep Andre away, but it didn't. The police tried their best, but they couldn't stop the attack in time. And when Andre ended his life, it left everyone with even more questions. What could have been done differently? How can we make sure something like this doesn't happen again? The death of Jennifer Bellony and her daughter Anastasia left a huge hole in their families' hearts. Jennifer was a mother who always tried to protect her children, and Anastasia was a young girl who had a bright future ahead of her. Losing them was heartbreaking for everyone who knew them, and it felt like the world had changed forever. When the news spread, family members were in shock. They couldn't understand how something so terrible could happen to Jennifer and Anastasia. Jennifer had tried so hard to make sure her family was safe, even going through the process of getting a restraining order against her ex-husband, Andre Anglin. Despite her efforts to protect herself and her children, she and Anastasia were still taken from the world too soon. Family and friends who were close to Jennifer and Anastasia spoke out after the tragedy. They were not just sad, they were also angry. They felt that the system had failed Jennifer. The restraining order was supposed to keep Andre away, but it didn't work. Jennifer had trusted the law to protect her, and her children, but the legal system did not do enough to stop Andre from causing harm. This left many people feeling frustrated, and they asked how something like this could happen despite all the steps taken to protect them. Jennifer's family and friends wanted answers. Why was it that a piece of paper, a restraining order, couldn't stop someone from hurting their loved ones? The sadness of losing Jennifer and Anastasia was mixed with anger. They couldn't understand why the system, which was supposed to keep them safe, failed to do so. This event made them realize that more had to be done to protect people who were in danger from those who had hurt them before. The case of Jennifer and Anastasia didn't just shock their family. It also caught the attention of the public. Many people across the country were upset to hear about what happened. News outlets shared the story, and people everywhere began to ask questions. How could restraining order, which was supposed to keep someone safe, not work? Was there something wrong with the way domestic violence cases were being handled? This tragedy made many people think about the laws that are meant to protect people from violence in their homes. Domestic violence is something that affects a lot of people, and this case brought attention to how dangerous it can be when the system doesn't fully protect the victims. The public started questioning if the laws were strong enough and whether more could be done to keep people safe. The tragedy of Jennifer and Anastasia showed how important it is to have stronger protections for victims of domestic violence. People began talking about how the system could improve. Could restraining orders be made more effective? Could there be more help for people who are in danger? How could the authorities do a better job of keeping people safe and preventing something like this from happening again? One big question that came up was, how could society and the law make sure that no one else has to go through the same pain? People wanted to know what could be done to stop this from happening to other families. Many felt that the system needed to be stronger and more focused on helping people who are at risk of harm. It became clear that changes needed to be made so that the system could protect those who were in danger, just like Jennifer and Anastasia. This story opened the eyes of many people and showed them that the system was not perfect. While the legal system works in some ways, it also has flaws. Some believe that the law should do more than just give a piece of paper that says someone should stay away. They wanted more action to be taken to prevent harm before it happens. Many people also realized that society needed to change the way it supported people who were going through domestic violence. They wanted more resources, more education, and more awareness to help those in need. People understood that more had to be done to prevent violence and keep people safe in their homes. The case of Jennifer and Anastasia left the public with many questions. What could have been done differently to prevent this tragedy? How can the law make sure that people who are in danger are truly protected? Can restraining orders be improved so that they can stop harmful actions before it's too late? This case made it clear that the system needs to change. The public realized that there has to be more than just legal paperwork to protect people. It showed that society must work together to ensure that everyone is safe from harm. Only then can we hope to prevent more tragic stories like Jennifer and Anastasia's. The death of Jennifer and Anastasia sparked a nationwide conversation about domestic violence and the need for better protection for victims. This story reminded people of the importance of taking action to prevent violence and to make sure that no one else has to suffer the same fate. In many places around the world, there are rules to help people stay safe from violence. One of these rules is a restraining order. A restraining order is a special paper that says a person who is hurt or threatens someone must stay away from that person. It's a way to protect people, especially those who have been hurt before. But what happens when a restraining order doesn't work? What if someone breaks the rules and hurts the person they are supposed to stay away from? This is a serious problem, and many experts believe that things need to change. Right now, when someone gets a restraining order, it is a law that says the person must not get close to the person they hurt. But sometimes, these orders don't stop the person from breaking the rule. In the case of Jennifer and Anastasia, a mother and daughter who were attacked despite a restraining order, this is exactly what happened. The law said Andre, the father, should stay away, but he didn't follow the law. Instead, he found a way to hurt them anyway. Experts say there needs to be a stronger way to make sure people follow these orders. One suggestion is to have better systems to track people who have a history of hurting others. This would mean watching them more closely, especially if they have broken laws in the past. If a person has hurt others before, It is important that they are checked to see if they are following the rules. If not, there should be consequences. This could help stop people from doing more harm. Another change that could help is having a special system that checks if the restraining orders are being followed. If the person with the restraining order is at risk, the police or other workers can step in quicker. This would make sure that people who need help are not ignored. Many people believe that those who have hurt others before should be watched more closely. Sometimes, when someone has hurt someone else, they might not stop. They might keep doing it, and that's very dangerous for people around them. Monitoring people who have a history of violence would make it easier to stop more harm before it happens. For example, if Andre had been watched more carefully, there might have been a chance to stop him before he could hurt Jennifer and Anastasia. The idea is to have special programs or rules that check in on people who have a past of violence. This can help make sure they follow the law and don't hurt others. Experts think that if there were stricter rules to watch over people who are violent, fewer people would get hurt. It would be like having a safety net, just in case someone tries to break the rules again. Experts and people who work with victims of domestic violence believe that changes need to be made. They say the government and communities should do more to protect victims and make sure they are not left alone. One suggestion is for the law to be stronger and better at stopping bad things before they happen. This means that the government needs to act faster when people ask for help. One idea for change is having new laws that make it easier to protect people. For example, if someone gets a restraining order, there could be a rule that makes it harder for the person to ignore it. Maybe the law could check in on them, making sure they are not trying to hurt someone again. There could also be new programs in communities where people can get help right away. This might include things like support groups, counseling, or having someone to talk to who can make sure the person is safe. It's also important that communities work together to make sure that victims of violence know where they can go for help. If they have the support they need, they might feel safer and stronger. Another idea is for schools and workplaces to teach people about domestic violence. If everyone knows more about how it works, they can help victims or prevent more harm from happening. When people understand the signs of violence, they can report it and stop it sooner. The question many people ask is, could this terrible event have been prevented if there were better laws or systems in place? Jennifer and Anastasia were hurt even though Jennifer had a restraining order. Maybe if the law had been stronger or if there had been better monitoring, this tragedy could have been avoided. Experts say that it is possible that if we had more support systems and stronger laws, the attack could have been stopped before it happened. If Andre had been checked more carefully, or if Jennifer had more help with the restraining order, she might have been safer. In the end, the most important thing is to make sure people are safe. This story shows that while the law tries to help, sometimes it's not enough. Stronger rules, better support, and more community help could prevent another tragedy like this one. If everyone works together, we can make sure that people who need protection get it, and that no one has to live in fear. The goal is simple: make the world safer for everyone, especially those who need protection the most. This tragic story is not just about Jennifer and Anastasia. It's about every person who is suffering in silence, hoping for a way out, but often feeling trapped by fear, shame, or a lack of resources. Domestic violence affects people in all parts of the world, and many of them are too afraid to speak up, too afraid to reach out for help. These victims often feel isolated, wondering if anyone will listen or care. But we can make a difference. We must raise our voices for those who cannot speak for themselves. Every voice that speaks out about the dangers of domestic violence can help break the cycle of abuse. It's time to stand together and advocate for better protection, support, and resources for all victims of domestic violence. We need stronger laws, better enforcement, and more community-based initiatives. Support systems must be available and accessible for victims who need them, from shelters to counseling services to legal help. We need to educate our communities about domestic violence, so no one feels alone or misunderstood. Together, we can create a safer environment for everyone, especially those who are most vulnerable. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, it's important to reach out for help. There are organizations, hotlines, and shelters available to provide assistance and support. You don't have to face this alone. Your voice matters, and together, we can make sure that no one else has to go through what Jennifer and Anastasia did. Let's take action today. Share this story, talk about domestic violence, and stand up for those who need help. Together, we can raise awareness, prevent future tragedies, and make the world a safer place for everyone. If you found this story as gripping and heartbreaking as we did, don't forget to like this video and share it with others. And if you want to hear more true crime stories that uncover the mysteries behind these tragic events, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss our latest stories, updates, and discussions. Thank you for joining us on this journey to seek justice and explore the truth. Together, we can make a difference. Until next time, stay safe and stay aware.